Hey, it's Erica. Welcome back to ShameOver. I am so glad you're here. So today I really want to focus on consistency. And the reason why this is such a big thing for me is I myself deal with this. Every client I ever work with, any coaching calls I'm on, even just normal conversation, whether it has to do with drinking or not, this comes up. But it is, how do you keep the motivation high? How do you build momentum? How do you get committed? How do you stay committed? All of these different things, right? It is very hard to do that as we're trying to build new, good, healthy habits, and when we're trying to get rid of bad habits that we're trying to break or lessen or alter in some way. So the biggest thing that I can say that will completely change everything is, are you consistent? You can look at pretty much any athlete that has ever been successful. Obviously, Olympics are going on right now. The number one thing that they would say with their success across the board, I guarantee if we asked every Olympian, every athlete, every successful business person, all of these things, if they were to come up with a list of why they're successful, consistency would be on every single one of those lists. I have zero doubt. The reason why is consistency is what makes habits. It is what makes things easier, what gets the muscle memory, what helps us to get out of bed even if we're tired or we don't want to, what gets us to keep showing up, whether we want to be there or not, whether we feel like it or not. If you were to get real with yourself, whether you do it today, tomorrow, this week, I don't care, have a real, true heart-to-heart with yourself and ask, am I consistent? You guys have heard this from me before. You'll hear it a million times more, but whatever you practice, you are getting good at. So when it comes to drinking, what are you practicing? Are you practicing starting later, ending earlier, alternating, having lower ABV options, building in be-free days? What are you practicing? Or are you putting all of those aside, like thinking about them, wanting to do them, but the mindless, oh, it's happy hour, it's my witching hour, it's 5 o'clock, it's whatever time that, comes knocking for you. And okay, well, I just feel like a drink. We're going out with the girls, lunch, happy hour, brunch, whatever. Everyone else is drinking, it's fine. I'll start again next week. What are you practicing? And I'm not saying this to be shaming, to be negative, to be anything. This is an opportunity for you to get real and to really just understand, what am I practicing? If you are getting frustrated, if you're not seeing the results, if you're hitting a plateau, yes, some of that is going to be normal. Absolutely. Whether it's with training for anything, if it's weight loss, anything that you're working on, you're going to hit those. But the way you're going to break through them, to jump over that hurdle, to get around that mountain, whatever it is through consistency. And that is because when you are consistent, you are in full control. It's one of the only things you have control of is if you show up and if you show up consistently. So a few things that you're really going to notice when it comes to consistency is consistency will help you build momentum. Yes, every day is not going to be all out 100%. It can't. That's burnout. You're going to get injured. You're going to get exhausted, annoyed, overwhelmed, frustrated, whatever. It is just going to help build the momentum. And when you do have those bad days or you don't feel like it, it's going to help you get back on the horse, the wagon, whatever you want to call it, the next day or the next week. So consistency is going to help you with the momentum to build these new routines, to eventually make them new habits. It's also going to help with commitment. If you do nothing else, just commit to showing up consistently. And this is whatever it looks like for you. So if it is, if you're working on drinking less, obviously you guys are here, so that's probably a big part of it. What does consistently showing up mean to you? For me, it is making sure I always have, I call them be-free, booze-free options at the ready. They're cold. They are front and center. So if I go to the fridge, I want something cold, that's the first thing I see. I'm not saying alcohol. I'm not saying, anything like that. So it makes it easy. I don't have to put that effort forward because I'm already doing things that allow me to show up consistently in an easy way. Maybe it's building in those booze-free days. So you look at your week ahead, you already know, Friday, Wednesday, and Sunday, not going to be good days. You have things going on. You want to be able to have a drink or 2 or 3 at the event, at the happy hour, at the, date night, just hanging out, whatever. That's fine. How can you plan accordingly? This is what it means to show up consistently. I like to say start on Sunday. So, we always go with diet starts Monday. When we say that, what do? We are binging all the way up until Monday, whether it's food, alcohol, whatever, because subconsciously our body, our brains, everything knows I'm not going to get anything come Monday. So I need to stock it all up, right? That does no one any good. You know that, I know that, deep down we know that, but we do it so much. That's why they call it the detox to retox loop, right? That is why my biggest focus is just moderation. And how can we find balance? Commitment to consistency is going to do that. When you're consistent, it automatically creates predictability. This allows you to understand yourself, your behaviors, even your triggers. It's going to just give you so much better of an understanding of any of the actions that you can plan for. The results are much more predictable. All of this is going to make it easier, again, with the consistency. So you probably know if you're showing up consistently or not, but signs that you are being consistent, you're regularly hitting milestones. Even if they're tiny, you are regularly hitting them. For me, those of you who are familiar with my piggy banking technique, if not, please go back and check it out. It's a great, literally, probably the number one life-changing thing for me with my alcohol journey and my reduction, and yes, over 90%, but it's piggy banking. This is consistently showing up, hitting milestones. Each of these represents a day this year that I chose to have a bee-free day. That's a lot. The first year I did this did not look like this at the end of the year. I am in August and it's already overflowing. So what does consistency look like for you? You're hitting the small milestones. You're feeling more confident and in control. This does not mean every day is easy or every day is perfect, but you are able to see some tangible results, some progress. You at least feel like, okay, this is helping, this is making a difference. If you are not being consistent, you are regularly skipping things that you have planned. You're probably feeling frustrated or stagnant, and your results are erratic. They are all over the place. And, as far as the predictability, far from that. Everything is very unclear. This makes things not only harder, but a hell of a lot more stressful as you're going through it. And as our bodies are under stress mode, which in America, we're typically way more stressed than pretty much most other people on the planet, but we're already living at a higher stress level. So if we can be more consistent, our stress levels automatically going to be coming down naturally. So if you want to try ways to kind of work in being more consistent, because you're like, yeah, this is great. I know I want to be more consistent, but how? How can I? What am I doing wrong? What am I not doing? What can I be doing better? Number one thing I see is either lack of goals or lack of clear goals. And I don't mean you have to sit down and come up with this whole huge plan. It's great if you do, but more than anything, have a clear goal. You are never going to know if you're hitting milestones or progressing or anything along those lines if there's no way that you're measuring or tracking or anything that you're working towards. So when it comes to drinking, for example, maybe right now you're a daily drinker, you want to build in 1 booze-free day, or I should say, you want to build in 3 booze-free days. Start with 1. Once you're consistently getting that 1 in, make it 2, and then make it 3. These little things are going to help. But if you look at the overall big picture, this is where I'm at now, this is where I want to be. How can you get there realistically in a clear, concise manner? If you're saying I'm a daily drinker, I want to go to being in, take it or leave it drinker, You can get there, absolutely. That's exactly what I did. But I'm there now. I had zero intention of that when I first started this whole thing. My whole thing was just, I want to drink less. And what did that look like? Drinking less when I was drinking, even by half a drink, if it was pouring out a glass of wine, or not having that nightcap or whatever, or putting in the marble in my piggy bank to confirm I had a booze-free day. These are all clear things that you can see. They're tangible, they're realistic, they are ways that you can easily be able to see and feel and notice a difference. If you're not doing this, you very easily can feel burnout, feel overwhelmed, just complete frustration, easily distracted. I'd heard a quote before. I'm big on quotes. You probably hear them every time. But you don't lack motivation, you lack clarity. And that really hit for me, because when we are crystal clear, we know exactly what we need to do. It, again, does not mean we can show up 100%, 100% of the time. Not realistic. That is also going to create burnout and overwhelm. But when we are clear, we know we keep showing up. Even if we can't give it everything, even if we can barely give anything, we still showed up. So set clear, actionable goals. I'm very big on SMART goals. It does not have to be a hard, drastic, huge thing, but SMART is S is your specific. What is the specific thing you're looking to do, trying to accomplish? M, it's measurable. A, it's attainable. S-M-A-R, it's realistic. Realistic, attainable, kind of, very similar. And T, timely. So instead of saying, I want to drink less, you can easily say that by the end of this month, I want to have one less day that I drink each week. As long as you're not making up for it during the days that you're drinking, you're going to be drinking less, right? And you can have that be very specific. If you've already been tracking, a typical day looks like this. So here's how I can decrease what the drinks look like. So maybe it is something like, okay, by the end of the year, I only have 5 non-drinking days that I can recall in the past, whatever. So starting today, by the end of the year, I want to be able to put in 30 marbles. Is that realistic? You have the time by the end of the year. So right, by December 31st, is it realistic? Is it attainable? Is it measurable? Yes. Can you get 20 or 30 or whatever marbles into this? And is it specific? These are the marbles. This is what I'm going to do with them. This is how I can put a marble into my piggy bank, for example. So try something like that, but come up with just clear, actionable goals that take the big picture and break it down into sip-size micro habit changes and chunks. You can do this through creating routine. Get the theme here: consistency, predictability. Routine is huge. You can establish a weekly, checklist. Again, I like to start on Sunday. So, again, most people, Monday is like the start of the week, the start of everything. Maybe try Sunday. So it's, you start clean on Sunday and see how your week pans out from there. When I first, again, was starting this journey, I would take my calendar, go in my phone and look like, okay, here is what the week looks like for me. I know that I already have plans on this day and this day. So how can I plan accordingly? What days are going to be best for me to take the days off, have booze-free days? What can my goals be for the days that I do drink? How can I keep my limit at X or below, right? Just little things like this. When you create this routine, you're going to be looking forward to it. Your body, your mind is going to be expecting it. It is going to make it easier to stay on track, especially when it's a physical reminder, right? This is also a great way to track your progress. What I had said earlier is you don't know if you're successful at something if you're not tracking it, if there's no measurements along the way. That can make it that much easier to feel like you are just, I'm in a funk. I can't get out of this. I don't feel like I'm making progress. So often I'll ask my clients, it's like, why do you feel it this way? Well, I feel like I'm drinking too much. what's your goal? And as soon as they say that, I'm like, okay, where are you to your goal? A lot of times when they're feeling this way, they either don't know what their goal is, or they forgot about their goal. They haven't checked in with their goal. So you're going to feel off there. So when you have your goal and you're looking at it, you know what it is. This is going to be so much easier for you. Your results are going to be so much more astounding, and your motivation is going to stay much more consistent, as opposed to, the roller coaster ride that no one wants. When you're tracking your progress, do something special to celebrate any of the milestones. I had seen a video, I wish I had remembered the exact quote that they'd used in it, but it was, we focus so much on, the wins, on the, did I hit this milestone? Did I do this? Did I not do this? Let's celebrate every time that you show up, okay? And I know for a lot of us, that's hard. We were not raised that way. I am very much the kind, everyone does not need a ribbon. So I'm not saying like that in a sense, but if you are showing up, that deserves a pat on the back. That deserves a celebration, some sort of, self-love. You are perfectly imperfect, as we know that, but you are working towards something. And as you're working towards something, acknowledge that and celebrate that. You're going through this whole process. Make sure you're taking time to reflect and adjust. Back to my asking clients about, what their goal is. Sometimes it had been so long since they had looked at their goal, it didn't necessarily align. That's okay. Change it. If things need to be changed as you're going through this, great. That means you're growing, you're evolving, what was originally your goal when you started out no longer is. I'm very much into Olympics, specifically gymnastics, specifically Simone Biles. I'm love her so much. But for any of these athletes, do you think number one on their list was being an Olympian? Probably not. When they were younger, yeah, maybe they'd look like, oh, I want to be that someday. But realistically, they're starting out and they're like, okay, I want to get to that next level. I want to be on the varsity team. I want to play in college or compete in college. And then from there, there's all these stepping stones. We see, here's this Olympian, and yes, we know that there's work that went into it, but we really don't take time to acknowledge that, and how many days they didn't want to show up, but they still did. How many days they showed up and lost horribly or performed horribly, or, so many different things. That goes into it. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. It's being able to take the time to reflect on these and adjust as you need. We're always going to need adjustments. I'm very big into sports, if you guys don't already know that. But every athlete out there, I had heard something recently, I do not know if this is true or not, but I had heard recently that Tom Brady had 7 different coaches outside of what the team already provided him. You think that's insane, right? But everybody has different expertise. Everybody sees something different. They were able to make these tiny little adjustments to make him that much better. And that's exactly what you're trying to do with yourself. I will say, and you need to know this more than anything else. You are perfect exactly how you are. And you are worthy of love and acceptance and happiness and joy and everything that's good in life exactly as you are. You working to become a better version of yourself is just cherries. But you have to accept who you are exactly as you are right now, because if you don't, the self-sabotage is always going to be coming back to haunt you to get you back to that place, because you don't think that you're worthy unless you become this. And as long as that is going on behind the scenes, whether you know it or not, that is where self-sabotage happens. So if you're catching yourself with self-sabotage, you need to check your worth, because that, I guarantee, is what is lacking. As you're not only starting out, but going through this, keep it small. I joke, sip-sized chunks, but any habit expert is going to tell you the best results you're going to get, not only short, but especially long-term, are those tiny habits that you build in, those tiny tweaks, tiny changes that you make. When we focus on the big stuff, it is so easy to, again, find that burnout, that overwhelm, that exhaustion. When you're small, you can keep the momentum going, because it's not like you're never running a day in your life and all of a sudden trying to run a marathon. You are going from walking to jogging to running to getting closer and closer to that marathon, right? That's exactly the same thing here. So start small, and always, always, always be kind to yourself. As I went to the self-sabotage, you are going to be noticing your progress and how consistently you maintain it based on how you feel about yourself. If you are only good enough because you hit a certain weight, or you got a certain title, or money in your bank account, or this, that, the other, nothing's ever going to be good enough. And you are constantly going to be shaming, going through that shame spiral, feeling poorly, bashing on yourself, whatever that looks like. Listen to how you talk to yourself and how you talk about yourself, because that is going to be where all the power is. Our brain believes what we tell it. So if we're constantly like, man, you suck, I can't believe you did that again, you fail, you're a loser. If we're hearing that, whether it's just words and you think it's just words, our brain is taking that all in and being like, yeah, I'm gonna find ways to confirm what you just said. Confirmation bias, right? So BYOB, be your own bestie. Whenever you are having a bad day, a bad moment, a great moment, what would your best friend say or do in that moment? If that's hard for you, then act like it's not you. What would you say to your best friend in that moment? I know, it's weird when we do it on ourselves, but if we're not our own best friend, that's the first place to start. Reconnect with your why. Why are you here? Why are you important? Why does this matter? Why does drinking less have such a profound effect on your long-term life, right? This is where I see most people fall short, is not knowing their why, not truly understanding or grasping their why, and not digging in deep enough. So if it's just like, well, I want to be healthy. Okay, why do you want to be healthy? To be able to run that marathon, to be able to play with my kids or my grandkids, to be able to fit in those pants. Okay, but why? And that's where it kind of stops. You need to go at least 2 to 3 levels deeper than that. So channel your inner toddler and ask yourself, but why? If you're not into journaling yet, I'm doing a August challenge. Feel free to join anytime. But it's basically just 5 minutes a day. We are journaling. You do it on your own. So, it's just, I'm here to help for accountability if you need it. But the whole purpose of it is this consistency thing, but also it's going to help you reconnect with your why, or figure out your why if you don't already know it, because you're constantly going inward to see what comes out, right? So reconnect with your why. And if you're like what I had said earlier about like, well, I want to be healthy and, I want to feel better. Okay, but why? Go at least 2 to 3 levels deeper than that. You should essentially get emotional, whether you're like tearing up, or like you have a fire lit under you, or you're like ecstatic at the thought of like, because I can do this. Like, that is what it needs to feel. Like, I literally just got goosebumps saying that. It needs to do something like that for you. And yeah, every time you see it, you're not going to be like, oh, goosebumps. I get that. But if it doesn't do that for you in the beginning, it's not your why. It might be part of it, but it is not your why. So lastly, this goes to accountability. Everything is not only easier, but way more fun when you do it with someone else or with others, especially like-minded people who truly support you, empower you, who want what's best for you. You might not have that at home, in your friend group and your family, and that's okay. There are communities out there. It's even just finding one person that you can connect with, that you can find that relationship with, so that you can go to them to be able to get the support, get the accountability, understand what's going right, what's not, make those little tweaks. It's so much easier from the outside looking in, right? So when you have this accountability partner, they can help you see things that you're just too close to see. A friend, if you're lucky enough to have one who can be this for you, amazing. You can get a coach, find a group or community like what ShameOver has to offer, just whatever you can to be surrounded by like-minded people who are going to build you up and lift you up. That is where you're really going to be next level and level up. So try to figure out some sort of accountability so it's not just on you. This is hard, this is exhausting, this is a lot, and you don't want to, nor do you have to take this on yourself. So as we're ending this lovely little chat, don't forget to prioritize rest and self-care with all of this. We cannot pour from an empty cup, and so often I see that's exactly what we're doing. Women, especially moms, but just women in general, we are doing more than we ever have in history. We're still keeping the household going and the kids, and no matter how incredible our spouse is, for the most part, most of us are the ones who have all the balls up in the air trying to, make sure, they need lunch for this camp is tomorrow, then they need swim, and blah, blah, blah. So many balls up in the air that it's impossible to not let things fall. The one thing that falls when everything else is up is our self-care and prioritizing ourselves, our rest, our sleep, our whatever. During this journal challenge, again, just 5 minutes, I have realized that those 5 minutes are sometimes the only time during the day that I am going inward. Yeah, we might be like hanging out watching TV, so it's not like I'm like stressing all the time, but I'm not taking a break to like actually go inside. I might be just like hanging out, even if I do self-care, like doing a face mask or taking a nice long shower or something, my brain's still moving. I'm still doing all these things that are what I need to do. Don't forget this. How about this, right? When we take that time to not only do something for ourselves that is good for us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it fills our cup. It takes our tank from empty up. That is what is going to help us across the board on all of this. It is not selfish. It is actually one of the most selfless things you can do to prioritize yourself and your self-care. Because if you want to show up as a great mom, as a great partner, as a great employee, as a great friend, sister, brother, whatever, you need to show up as your best self. And that best self is not the one running on empty. There's a reason why they always say before every flight, put your own oxygen mask on first. If you don't, you're going to pass out before you can help anyone else. You can't do anything when you're passed out, right? So make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You can look up for ideas on self-care. I have them provided as well, but figure out what self-care looks like to you. Maybe it's a bubble bath. Maybe it's going for a run. Maybe it's snuggling with your dog. Maybe it's doing a workout class. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's just sitting and doing nothing. As long as it is filling your cup up and not something completely just mindless, it is going to help so that you can actually get your tank filled and be able to pour more into others, even more than you already are. A great thing that you can do is set up visual reminders, visual cues. I have an alarm that goes off every day, several, in my phone to remind me to journal, to remind me to take a break, to remind me to check in with myself. So having these visual cues can help. If you have, that I had them here, I do not, sticky notes. Sticky notes are excellent to have around your house. Maybe you put it on your mirror or medicine cabinet, on the fridge, in your closet, whatever. It can have your goal on there. It can have a key word if you have that to remind you, whatever it is. No one else has to know what it means. Even if it's just the sticky note and when you see it, you know what it means, no one else does. There you go. Set these visual reminders so that you can show up consistently. With that, leave with a flexible mindset. If you're setting goals and they're not working, revamp it. Be flexible with it. If you've looked at your week and you're like, okay, these are the days I'm going to drink. This is how much I'm going to drink. These are days I'm going to take off. And then you get a call from a friend like, hey, can you come out tonight? You decide to do that? Great. How can you pivot? How can you, if you decide I'm moving it today, I wasn't supposed to drink, now I am. How can you move those drinks to today and change the rest of your week around? Be able to be flexible when it comes to this so that you're not so rigid. Because when you are rigid, that's when it's like, well, screw it. I already drank and I said I wasn't going to, so diet starts Monday, right? Pushing everything off so the rest of your week is completely failed. You don't need to do that. Be flexible. Pivot when you need. And I'm not saying to like just let everything go out the window. That is the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying, how can you stay true to yourself, still go do the things that you want to do, and build whatever you're working towards in so you can maintain the consistency and still show up. One thing I want to remind everyone as we're saying goodbye, motivation fades. Willpower is going to come and go. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. Things are going to come up that take your energy, take your attention, take everything from you. The main thing that you essentially have full control over is if you decide to show up consistently. And again, this does not mean that you are showing up and consistently giving 100% of yourself. That is not the case at all. That is impossible. You will never do that. What I'm saying is you will show up 100% of the time. It does not need to be you're giving it your all 100% of the time, but you are showing up. If you are consistent, you are going to notice a difference in whatever area you are trying to work on, but especially when it comes to drinking. So if you are noticing that you haven't been able to do this, you haven't figured it out, it's just too hard, it's not working for me, what are you practicing? Because whatever you're practicing is what you've gotten good at and why it's so hard. So how can you break it down again into small things so that you can be more consistent, so you can have more of a consistent motivation level, so you can have that clarity on what you're doing, when you're doing it, and why you are doing it. Number one, it's got to be for you, but you also, again, have to remember you are perfect as you are, and this is all just cherries on top. If you don't accept yourself and know that you are worthy exactly as you are going to fall into self-sabotage and lack of motivation and all of these things all the time. So with that, I will say goodbye. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you do want to join the journal challenge, you can definitely find it in the link. Besides that, thank you so much for being here. If you like this, please, please, please like, share, subscribe, whatever works for you. That is the only way that I can continue helping more people and doing just what I love, which is being here, connecting with others, and helping us all to not only see ourselves and our greatness as we are, as well as our potential, but really be able to find balance and moderation in all areas of our life, because that is where the true beauty and magic is. So with that, cheers. See you next time.